Hello all and welcome to this hands-on lab. In our lab today, we will learn how to work with Amazon WorkDocs and WorkDocs Drive. Before we continue further ahead, a couple of things to keep in mind. Using AWS services leveraged in this lab can incur charges. Hence, ensure that you clean up all resources after completing this lab. Prerequisites for this hands-on lab is knowledge of Amazon WorkDocs. Hence, if you do not know what this service is all about, please refer to this overview tutorial that I had created some time back. URL to the tutorial is mentioned right here at the bottom. I will also have this URL mentioned in the description of this video. Scenario for our lab today. You need to create an Amazon WorkDocs site and mount it as an external drive to your Windows machine or server. So I believe this is pretty straightforward. You create an Amazon WorkDocs site, and just like how you would have any external drive, let's say an external disk or a USB, right? Or let's say a network drive, you need to mount this particular WorkDocs site on your Windows machine or server as an external drive. And after this site is created, you need to upload a few documents using the WorkDocs console. And you also need to copy a few documents from your local machine or server to the WorkDocs site. So I hope the scenario is pretty clear, right? It's pretty straightforward, nothing complicated, right? So again, you need to create your WorkDocs site. You need to mount it as an external drive on your Windows machine or your server. Now, your machine or your server could be your PC, right? Could be your desktop machine, could be your server, could be a VM that you have provisioned, right? And once your site has been created, you need to upload a few documents using the WorkDocs console, and you need to copy a few documents from your local machine to the WorkDocs site. So I hope that this is well understood. Reference URLs. Please refer to these URLs, right? I will also have them posted in the description of this video. We are going to leverage some of the things that are mentioned in these URLs, especially the second one, which is the URL to download the client, right? As we move further along in the lab. Step 1. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to create an Amazon WorkDocs site. So we will go to Amazon WorkDocs, right? And over here, you will see that you have two options. You can either create a standalone simple AD directory site, or you can leverage AD connector and create your directory as well. Now, depending upon your situation, if you are doing this for learning purposes, practice purposes, or just exploring this service, then just go ahead with simple AD directory, right? But let's say if you do have your Microsoft Active Directory connected and you want to leverage that, then you can go ahead and use AD connector. For this lab, I'm going to create a WorkDocs site leveraging simple AD directory. After that, you need to provide some site info, which includes site URL, email, first name, and last name. And we will see this. Finally, go ahead and select your VPC and its subnet. Now you can use default VPC. I will be using default VPC for this lab, or you can use an existing VPC, or you can create a new VPC as well. It's totally up to you. But if you're doing this for lab purposes, just go ahead and use your default VPC. And finally, go ahead and click on Create Simple AD Site. So let us go ahead and complete some of these steps, right? So let me see where it is. There it is. Okay. So this is my Amazon console. This is Amazon WorkDocs. If you're doing this for the first time, click on Get Started Now, right? Or you can also go to My Sites and click on Create a WorkDocs site. Now, in my case, I had created a few directories earlier, so you can see some available directories, right? But I'm not going to use any of that. I'm going to create a brand new directory. So I'm going to click on Create Directory. And here you will get this dialog where you need to set up a directory. Now, as I mentioned earlier, for lab purposes, I'm going to use Simple AD. You can use AD connector if you like, but I'm going to use Simple AD and go ahead and create this site. Great. Click on Next. Now we need to give a name over here. So I'm going to give a name. Let's say I'm going to say NAM. So I'm going to say NAM documents or NAM, yeah, documents. Okay. And finally, if you scroll down, you see that you need to provide your email, first name and last name. So I'm going to go ahead and provide my first name and my last name. I'll eventually provide my email as well, right? Provide, if you want to provide, you can provide your DNS directory, your NetBIOS. These are optional. And if you scroll further down, you need to then go ahead and configure your VPC. So I'm going to click on select an existing VPC, right? And here I have my default VPC right there. I'm going to select one of the subnets. It's going to be US East 1A, right? And then go ahead and click on this Create Simple AD site. So after you click on Create Simple AD site, right, this is what you will get. So you see that it is provisioning my WorkDoc site. You see this green message right here on the top. I'm going to close it. And you see the status is initializing. So it is currently provisioning this site. Now it takes a good 10 to 15 minutes for this site to be provisioned. So be patient, right? This is the URL to the site, and we will wait for this site to be provisioned. So what we have done now is we have completed these steps. And once the site is created, right, you will see that the status changes over here to active, right? You will also get an email to set the admin password. But as I said, it takes a solid 10 to 15 minutes for it to complete provisioning this particular site. So I'm going to temporarily pause my recording, and once my site is up and I have received the email, we will continue further ahead. So as you see, our site has been provisioned. You see the status is active. Also, I have received an email saying that the site is up, and I can leverage this particular button, Get Started, to set the admin password. So basically, we had completed this 5 steps. Now we have got an email, and we are going to click on Get Started to create the admin password. So click on Get Started right here. Now, sometimes the email, instead of coming in your inbox, goes to your spam folder. So ensure that you wait for a little bit, check all your folders, right? Check your spam folder, any other folder, wherever, typically your emails tend to, hide. And sometimes this thing tends to hide in my spam folder. And then, leverage that particular URL and leverage this Get Started button. Just in case, right? Just in case if you cannot find this email, you can actually even go back to the site URL, click this, select the site URL, go to Actions, and go to Resend Invitation Email. But this time around, also ensure that you check all your folders. Okay. So we clicked on Get Started. I'm going to give a password over here. I'm going to say WorkDocs $1. I'm going to say it is WorkDocs $1. I'm going to copy this time around, so I know that I have the right password, and click on Update User. Okay. And I think the password reset was successful. And basically, I am logged into the WorkDocs console. So we have completed this step. So we have basically completed all the steps of step 1. Now let's continue further ahead. Now, since we have created a WorkDocs site and we are logged in into our WorkDocs console, remember one of the things as part of the scenario was to upload a few files to the WorkDocs site using the WorkDocs console. So that's exactly that we are going to do now. We are going to go to My Docs, right? And click on Upload. Click on Upload Files, right? And I have these few images that I've copied over here. So I'm going to use a few images from here. So I'm going to take Lion King and Simba. Click on Open. And these two pictures have been uploaded to my WorkDocs site. So we have satisfied the first part of our scenario. That means we have created the WorkDocs site and we've also uploaded a couple of files on our WorkDocs site using the WorkDocs console. So we have completed step 2. Step number 3. Now for step number, sorry, this should be 3, not 2, but 3. For step 3, you can use either your own machine, that is your PC or your laptop or your desktop, or a Windows server, or you can provision a VM. So for this lab, what I am going to do is I am going to provision a Windows Server 2016 base VM, right? So we will basically provision a T3 large VM for Windows Server 2016 base, right? With a public IP and port 3389 enabled or open. This 3389 port is for RDP, right? Okay, and you can provision this VM in the same VPC. So let me go back over here, go to my Amazon console, go to EC2, right? And I'm going to click on launch instances. And here we are going to look for Windows. So now scroll down, and this is my Microsoft Windows Server 2016 base. It's free tier eligible. Select this. Select your instance type as T3 large. Next. I'm going to provision this in my default VPC. I'm going to enable public IP. Next. This 30 GB disk is fine. Next. Security group. Now you can either create a new security group or you can leverage an existing security group, but ensure that your security group has port 3389 open. In my case, I have an existing security group, so I'm going to use that. It is EC2 Windows, right? Review and launch, launch, select my AWS key pair, and launch instances. And this is my instance right here. And it's still coming up. I'm going to rename this as Windows VM, right? And it will take a few minutes for this instance to come up. So what we have done is we have completed this particular step. Now we will need to wait for this particular instance to come up. It's a large machine, so it's going to take some time. So I'm going to pause the recording, and once my instance is up and running, we will continue further ahead. So our VM is up and running, right? So let us continue further ahead. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to connect to our VM using RDP. So Let me select my VM, click on connect, RDP client, and then download remote desktop file. So it's right there. I'm going to open it, click on connect, and it's asking me for the password. So to get the password, go back over here, click on get password, right browse. I need to go to my key pair file right there. Click on decrypt password. And this is my password. I'm going to copy it and paste it right here. So this is my console. I'm going to now go ahead and paste my password right here and click on OK. Click on yes. So this VM is coming up and it's coming up for the first time. So it's going to take some time, right? So I'm going to go back to my presentation and we have completed step 2. The next thing that we need to do is on our machine, in my case on my VM, I need to go ahead and download and install Amazon WorkDocs Drive Client from this particular URL. This URL is one of the URLs that was mentioned in the reference URLs, right? And I will also have it mentioned in the description of this video, right? But that's the intention. So I'm going to copy this, right? So let me just copy it from here. And we go back to our VM and open a browser. Now, since I'm using this VM for the first time, it's going to give me certain security messages, which will probably not be true in your case if you're using your own machine or you're using a VM on which you're typically, working on. So please be patient while I navigate through all the security messages and we progress further ahead. So I'm going to paste the URL right here, click on enter. Okay. Add, close. And we are right here. So what we need to do over here is we need to download WorkDocs Drive Client, download this for PC. So click on this particular icon, add, close. And I believe our download has started. So I'm going to save this MSI on my VM. And after the security scan is complete, we will basically run this particular MSI or installable. So click on run. So this is the AWS WorkDocs Drive client, as you can see. And we are currently installing this client on our virtual machine. So it's continuing further ahead. And sometimes this takes a little while. So again, be patient. It depends on your VM, what type of instance it is, right? If you're not using, a larger instance, that might take some more time. So just be patient as it goes further ahead. And a lot of times you will see that after the installation is complete, you will actually get this kind of a dialog box that you can see right now on my screen, that I must restart the system for this configuration to take effect. So in that case, please go ahead and click on yes. And after I click on yes, you will see that this VM will basically restart. So click on yes, and it's restarting the VM. So I'm going to minimize that. And we have basically completed these 2 steps and in turn completed step 3. Now we will continue further ahead with step 4. So remember that we had uploaded a few files using the WorkDocs console. The other thing that we need to do is we need to also copy some files from our local machine or a local VM to our WorkDocs site. And that's the whole reason why we have installed that particular client. So once our VM is up and running, we will continue further ahead. So let's see if it's up and running. Okay. Okay, I think it is probably up again. So what we are going to do is I'm going to try and connect it to it again. So click on connect and download the remote desktop client. Now, you don't need to again download the client. In my case, it's just easier rather than me navigating to the downloads folder and trying to figure out where that particular client is. You can pretty much use the client that you had downloaded earlier as well. So just go and click on open, click on connect. If the VM is up and running, we should be good. I had copied the password right here, so I'm going to paste it there. Okay, click on yes. And it is logging in. So our VM is up and running, right? And if you remember, the last thing that we had done over here was we had installed our WorkDocs Drive client. And after the installation, it basically told us to restart the VM. So we are here now. And what we need to do is we need to continue further ahead. So basically click on the WorkDocs Drive client icon, right? And this dialog box will come up where you need to provide the WorkDocs site name. And then finally you need to log in. Your username is your email and the password that you had provided. And then WorkDocs should be connected as an external drive. So you can see that this console is right here. If the console does not come up, just double click on this particular icon. You can see the WorkDocs icon, drive icon is right here on my desktop as well. I'm going to give the name of our site, nam documents, click on next. And I need to give my username and password. Remember, my username is my email address and my password was WorkDocs $1, right? We had copied it over here. So let's copy it again and then go back and paste it right there and click on sign in. Now, after you click on sign in, you saw that the dialog box disappeared, right? But that is a good sign. That essentially means that WorkDocs Drive now is associated or mounted as an external drive. Let us see if we can see it from our Explorer. So if you see I have a W colon over here as an external drive, and that is nothing else but my WorkDocs side. You see NAM documents right here. You can also double click again on the WorkDocs drive icon, or you can actually go through this particular folder as well, and you will see my documents and shared with me 2 folders. If you click on my documents, you will basically see the 2 files that we had uploaded using our WorkDocs console, right? So we have completed these 2 steps. Now, as part of our original scenario, we had to copy something from our machine, right, to the WorkDocs site using the drive. Sorry. So if you go back over here, how about we copy a file, right? So let's create a new file and say rich text document, or let's just create a new text file and say my text. Open this, say This is from VM. I'm going to save and close this, right? And again, let's see if we can. This is my file and close this as well. So we have basically copied over 2 files using a WorkDocs Drive client to a WorkDocs site, right? I mean, this is currently in the client. Let's minimize this and let's go ahead and check. So we've copied the files. Now we need to check. So if I go back to my WorkDocs client, sorry, console, I should be able to see these files right over here. So let me click around somewhere and then again go back to my docs. And you can see that both the files have been uploaded. So we have completed both the parts of our scenario, right? We copied files to our WorkDocs site using the WorkDocs console. We also copied files from our local machine, our VM, to the WorkDocs site, leveraging our WorkDocs Drive client. So we've completed both the parts of our scenario. As you can see, this is completely in sync. Even if you copy anything else or upload anything new over here, right? If I upload a new file, let's say I upload some other, let me upload this rad.jpg. This will eventually be reflected over here as well. If I refresh this, you will see that you can see the file is visible right here. So this is a very powerful, service. As you can see, like you can literally have an entire WorkDocs site, which is hosted in cloud, hosted on your machine as an external drive, right? I mean, it is as good as having an external hard disk or a USB connected to your machine, right? It's a W colon on my machine. I don't even have to go anywhere. I can basically just navigate around over here and get whatever documents that I need or whatever information that I need, right? I don't need to go anywhere. I don't even need to go to the AWS console or anywhere. I can just access it using this particular WorkDocs Drive client. So you can imagine the power of this. This is as good as having, cloud basically mounted, right, as an external drive. And you can do whatever you want beyond from here. I mean, the possibilities are just enormous, right? So you have a lot of power at hand right now. So do explore this service, guys, right? And let me know your feedback. If you've worked with this service, what has your experience been? I would really like to know that. And hopefully this hands-on lab was helpful. This is it from me today. And I will see you shortly in some other video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.